Korn's like the fourth best band of the last 30 years. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Take the Black Live, the one and only pop culture discussion podcast on the internet, where we talk about things like fantasy, sci-fi, space lasers, dragons, movies, TV, and etc. I am Dan Selke, the editor of winteriscoming.net, and this is Daniel Roman, the other editor of winteriscoming.net. We are back from a two-week holiday hiatus at a brand new time, brand new us, brand new haircut. Welcome to the 2 o'clock Take the Black show. Daniel, how are you? How was your holiday? Nice? Merry?
It was merry indeed. I enjoyed it a lot. It was great to see those family people.
But I
had none. There was no actual shade being thrown. I just don't see them that often.
Yeah,
definitely no
anyway,
shade.
But also a lot of
Cameron,
stuff happened.
No shade.
James Cameron doesn't throw shade.
That's right.
But anyway, a lot of other stuff happened during the 2 weeks we were off. Lots of new shows coming out, lots of new movies coming out. And then just yesterday, a big thing broke. Why don't we just start the new year, so the first Take of the Black of 2023 with this House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel show on HBO and HBO Max, unexpectedly won the Golden Globe for best drama series right out of the gate. First season at the Golden Globes, which, by the way, Game of Thrones never won, not once. The Golden Globes snubbed them. And here's the weird mental dissonance thing. When they snub them every year, I could say Golden Globes don't matter. And it's true. The Golden Globes don't matter. No award shows matters. Nothing matters. The universe doesn't mean anything. But when it wins, when House of the Dragon wins, I'm like, yeah,
then
eat it, Globes. Yeah. Eat it, that's everybody else. Hit it.
Yeah, I can't lie. I didn't even watch it because I just didn't expect, if it's not sci-fi or fantasy, I'm not too clued in. And like you said, Game of Thrones never won it. I just kind of assumed House of the Dragon wouldn't, because it feels like that would be an upset or not the norm. So it's really exciting to see, a show like House of the Dragon win this very meaningful, important award.
Important award
that is not meaningless.
Not very meaningless. Everything means something. It won out over shows like Ozark, Severance, your favorite, The Crown, and Better Call Saul. I mean, I think it was mainly that. I really thought they would give it to Better Call Saul because it's the final season of a show that's been very, very well regarded. And I'll be totally honest, just don't tell anybody this.
Ooh,
drop
the shade.
Probably should have gone to Better Call Saul. But it is cool. I would have voted Better Call Saul, but it is cool that I guess the Hollywood Foreign Press Association got some new staffers, and they're easily dazzled by breaths of fire, and they vote House of Dragon instead. And the acceptance speech was really cool. They had Miguel Sapochnik, who's the outgoing showrunner, Emma Darcy, and Millie Alcock go up there. They all clearly did not expect to win. It was kind of adorable. Like, they just weren't ready. Like, Millie Alcock was either drunk or high or something. And Miguel Sapochnik was just he just spent half it complimenting, saying how cool he thought Severance was, because he just didn't write a speech. Just oh, that show is great. I wish I could make it like that show. Did you watch the speech?
I didn't see it. No, I haven't seen the speech. That's awesome. I did see in your write-up for it, talking about how it looked like they didn't really expect to win. I think that's pretty funny. Because you're right. They probably would have sent more people if HBO had really thought they had a shot at this
completely.
thing. But up against stuff like Better Call Saul, Game of Thrones didn't win Best Drama, and the show that won over it a bunch of times was Breaking Bad, if I recall correctly. So, having that kind of similar thing with spin-offs for each of them, because, it's Better Call Saul's last season, and like you said, it's very well regarded. But then on the other hand, House of the Dragon has maybe some of the best dragon stuff that's ever been on TV, and that is clearly more important than any other work that happened last year.
It was very good. Jay thinks that Severance should have won, which I got Apple TV Plus, by the way. I'm going to watch Severance, and I'm going to watch what's the one with the Always Sunny guy who runs a software development company? I'm gonna watch that one, and I'm gonna watch For All
Mythic
Mankind. It's gonna be
Quest.
happening. There you go. Yeah, it looks pretty funny.
Nice.
Jay thinks
Yeah, it
Seven should have
does.
won. I think I was surprised. Okay, I'll also say my other little fear is I think it might even be too early. I don't want it to go to their heads. I don't know. Like, I know that award shows are about narratives. Award shows and who gets awards are not necessarily about the quality. They're about um what has the momentum this year, what have a critical mass of people decided is the best thing to award. And sometimes that means the best thing that
Yeah.
came out, and sometimes it's not. House of the Dragon, I don't know. If it
Oh,
were up to me, I actually think I
tell
would
us
have
how you
waited.
feel.
I would have waited. I would have rather awarded Emma Darcy Best Actress, frankly, and let the Best Drama thing go on, because Emma Darcy, they lost to I think to Zendaya from Euphoria.
Zendaya, right? Yeah.
Yeah, or nominate or I mean the big one I wanted wasn't even nominated. Like, they didn't. Patty Considine wasn't in the running for anything. Wasn't in the running for Best Actor. Even though if I were going to award
Crazy.
anybody for anything, it would have been him. But
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
glad they won. Good on it, and I hope that they
Yeah,
just
it's very
continue
exciting.
to blow things out of the water. And now I want season to be better than season one. Is what I want, and so it'll have to keep winning Best Drama, or else the world is askew. Also, White
Yeah.
Lotus won. That's cool. Like that. Abbott
Oh,
Elementary.
nice.
That The Adventures of Ina Sharon, which was a great movie, won a bunch of stuff. Michelle Yeoh won for Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's nice.
Well
Yeah,
deserved.
I didn't watch a lick of it, but it sounds like a pretty well picked show. I mean,
Yeah.
a lick of the show, a lick of the award servers. Not, I watched all that.
I see. I see. Yeah, it's tricky with House of the Dragon. I personally, obviously, I'm very biased because as much as I
Sure.
liked Severance, Jay, I don't know that I would have given it best drama over House of the Dragon. It's tricky because I don't
Yeah.
think I saw any show that was as ambitious with like the story it
True.
had to tell last year. Because like House of the Dragon, like when you watch a regular show, it's like a sequential story all the way through. You follow the characters, you get to know them. But in terms of like skipping around time jumps, recasting halfway through the season, season one specifically, I think of this show is pretty notable for what it did. So I'm glad to see it win for season one. And we'll see what happens. I hope it can keep the momentum, but obviously,
It was very
season two is
bold.
going to be a different beast.
It will. And yeah, again, we've heard before. Like, I loved it for that. I loved it for how
Yeah,
good it was, and B, at the same time, like, if you have this much money, sometimes you don't bother with ambition because you don't want to risk it.
sure.
It both had a ton of resources and it pushed really hard against the envelope. And if it weren't for episode 9 being bad and Kristen Cole killing that guy, I would have been wholeheartedly endorsing this win rather than just like light applause.
Yeah, that's
Anyway.
fair. That's fair. It was not a flawless run
Victory.
Like it was exactly. It was a fantastic show. It had a couple of blemishes. The flip side of Severance is, I'll say, it doesn't have that. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as House of the Dragon, but it didn't have any weak links. And I'm sure
what
Better
is it
Call
about
Saul
this
was
story
the
that just
same.
makes it? Sorry?
I said I'm sure Better Call Saul was the same, where there wasn't really a weak link to the show.
That show is airtight. Breaking Bad too.
Yeah.
Its whole thing was just airtight writing,
awesome.
Can't get around it. But yeah, good for it. Yay, everybody. And speaking of Game of Thrones spinoffs in the news, we also had George R. R. Martin talking about how giving an update on the spinoffs, just saying that some are moving faster than others. None have been greenlit yet. We are hoping maybe soon. A couple have been shelved, but I would not agree they were dead. You can take something off the shelf, so easily to put it on the shelf. All the changes to HBO Max have impacted us, certainly. The changes to HBO Max being the fact that they've been taking stuff off the platform, that Warner Media has been shelving stuff.
Yeah.
They did say they're going to do less of that this year. I think their idea is the new guy came in, he did some housekeeping, the way a new person always does when they're going to rotate some deck chairs on the Titanic. And then, well, in this case, hopefully People like to change
That's
things
an
when they come in.
apt metaphor.
I hope not. I don't want them to go down. They make good stuff, including House of the Dragon.
They do.
But hopefully there'll
Yeah.
be less of that. And frankly, with them winning the Golden, I mean, it's the Golden Globe. It's not an Oscar. It's not an Emmy. It's not like an actual award. With them winning awards, I think there's more pressure than ever to have another spinoff. And I still think we'll get the announcement of another one this year. I do predict that. That is a dance lucky prediction.
Yeah.
2023, an announcement of a second Game of Thrones spinoff. Probably the Jon Snow one or Duncan Egg one.
Yeah, so let me ask you, because looking at this George R. R. Martin quote, I didn't think too hard on it when I read this the first time, because he posted this over the holidays, kind of just talking about the general stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder which ones have been shelved. I do agree with you. I'm nervous that Duncan Egg might not be one HBO goes for. I don't know why. They haven't yet. It feels very logical to me too. Like, why wouldn't you do Duncan Egg? The stories are written or more written than any of these other spin-offs they're considering. Right. But so which ones do you think were shelved? Any guesses?
I mean, I have no idea. I mean, probably the ones that are just not based on stuff. That was so, like the Nymeria one, or maybe the animated one about Yeti. I don't know. Like the ones that are riskier. I mean, if I'm a studio and I have all this money to spend, it's a good property, but like just go with something is probably going to work well. So I might take aside some of the ones that are a little more out there.
Yeah. I bet the sea snake. That's my guess.
Well, that I don't know, because then that one has like a character you already know. Who knows? By the way, Jay asks, your thoughts on HBO not making Sapochnik a wife producer.
So we were going to talk about that.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll talk about that in the lightning round. My one word response: hilarious. and we'll do more about it later. And Robert Harris says, "New time I like it." Yeah, Robert. We are at a new time. We've moved from 4 p.m. CST to 2 p.m. CST for the foreseeable future. If anybody is thrown off that, I'm sorry, but hopefully you guys will join us on this new timely journey. You were saying, Daniel?
Yes. It's a new year. We'll talk about Sapochnik a little bit later. My one-word answer is also probably hilarious. It is funny. I don't know why, but when I first found out his wife was involved in the production and appeared in the show, I just had a weird feeling about it. Not that she was bad in it, she was fine. I just had it's different than like Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, who are the screenwriters who did like Jurassic World and Avatar 2. Like they're a husband and wife duo. They
produce that happens.
Things as partners. It's different than like Miguel Sapochnik has all this notoriety and his wife hasn't really been in stuff that's notable, but he's gonna sneak her into. And
she suddenly gets an executive producer credit on a big new show. It's a little odd. It feels a little more like Lucy begging Ricky to put her in the show, like a little more like I don't know them, but that's the feeling I'm giving. Only not quite as funny.
Yeah,
purposefully, but very funny to me.
Which isn't to say that like the idea is, because from what I understand, part of season 1, like she pitched the idea to him to center Rhaenyra and Alicent more as like the main characters of the show. That was her idea that Sapochnik thought was great and ran with. So I can kind of I can understand how that would have been a discussion, but at the end of the day, I can also totally get why HBO would be like, I don't know if we want to do this thing. Feels weird to us.
Also, like, do we know that? Like, did she pitch it, or was she like reading the scripts because he took them home, and she's like, Rhaenyra is great. Like, we just don't know.
Yeah, we'll never know the deets. From what I recall, there was an interview where he talked about how she basically, I don't know if it was scripts, she looked at what they were doing and was like, Rhaenyra and Alicent are really like the two main characters fighting against this patriarchal system in their own way. So centering it on that. But yeah, Jay, it's hilarious is my what. Yeah, there's nothing to be mad about with it or upset. It's just like, well, that's a thing that happened, and I kind of understand all the sides of it to an extent. But yeah,
I mean, and like he also said he was thinking of leaving anyway. I'm sure there's many sides to it.
yeah,
We'll just skip swing to lightning round.
sure,
Anyway, other things going on at this juncture. I'd like to turn to other shows on the horizon, and there's a big one coming up
yes,
this Sunday. HBO will premiere.
I'm so
This is the next thing
excited.
they outline, right? Uh,
Yes,
a new program, The Last of Us, which is based on a series of very successful zombie video games from Naughty Dog on the PlayStation. And HBO made a new show about it. It comes out this Sunday. Neil Druckmann, Craig Mazin producing. The guy who made Chernobyl. Good stuff.
yeah,
Game of Thrones veterans Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey are starring as Joel and Ellie. They're really pushing it. It's a big new show. They're marketing it heavy. They spent a lot on it. It's a high kind of profile property. And I've seen the first 4 episodes, and I really,
okay,
really liked it. Is my basic, straightforward, spoiler-free, no spoilers review. Comes to the Sunday,
yeah,
and it's
no
good.
spoilers.
This is a good show. It definitely is. They, I, it's zombies are hard, right? Especially now,
yeah,
because there have been. This story is about a zombie apocalypse. You know, you've seen this. You've literally watched this
yeah.
movie before.
We've all seen it a million times.
Yes, where the world topples, society crumbles, aftermath. The Walking Dead did it for 11 years. The Walking Dead hopes to do it for 11 more.
They're gonna do it
He had
4 more times this year alone.
Oh my God, yes, they are. You got the World War Z, you got other zombie shows, you get a lot of zombies all over the place. That's Living Dead. How do you make it fun again? And I will say, one of the weaknesses of the show is that there were some times when I was like, I have seen this. Like at the end of the day, it is a show about society falling because zombies got it. And then you have to pick up the pieces. Like it's been done. That's true.
Yeah,
Where they get me is it looks terrific. We'll say that just the shallow part first. The Walking Dead could never. Like it really goes whole hog on the action scenes, kind of the splendor, the spectacular, what a ruined civilization looks like, wandering through Boston, like skyscrapers have fallen into each other. Love the look of that. The zombies are great too. Like the actual zombies look cool and different and interesting, fungal, and they got like these weird heads. I like that.
yeah.
There's that HBO polish. It's really well paced. Like they have these couple of prologues, first 2 episodes that kind of talk about the sciencey part of it, which is, TV convincing. I don't know if it's actually convincing for real, but it was, it effectively conveyed to me this was accurate to within a degree I was willing to accept. And I could get right to the part about being scared and chill, which is what a TV show really wants to do for you. And what it's most interested in is the characters. So we got Joel hardened, again, like a pretty standard kind of horror movie type, like hardened survivalist, Clint Eastwoody, like I'm a wandering badass, and I'm a loner. I don't care for nothing, nobody. I get the job done. Paired with Ellie, who's a teenager who's rambunctious and precocious and more fun. Odd couple. A lot of it kind of goes to the whole thing where there are no new ideas, like it's all just things cycled over and over again. Because everything in here is we've seen, but it's all done really well. The chemistry's great, the acting's great. There are some swipes that I didn't see coming at all, which is great. It all just comes together in a really satisfying way. It's like I was emotionally moved in the first episode, and I didn't stop. There wasn't much resistance to it. It's really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing how folk react to it when it airs this Sunday on HBO.
So can I ask you, so Robert Harris is in the chat saying, have either of you played the Last of Us video game? I have not, Robert. Fun fact, my wife right now is literally on her way to get the video game so we can play it this week.
On the way to pick up a physical copy?
A physical, yeah, remember those? Those are still things. No. Yes, on her way to pick up a physical copy. But Dan, you have played it, right?
Yeah, I played the first one. I didn't play the second one yet. I think I'm gonna try. But I played the first one a couple years ago. Yeah.
how did you
Go ahead.
feel that the show stacks up to it?
Oh,
Like, how do you feel it
definitely.
is in conversation?
Well, it's been a few years, so I don't remember like every detail about it. I mean, it's made by the Neil Druckmann made the games, and he's making the show with Craig
Yeah,
Mazin, so he's definitely preserved a lot of the feel. It's pretty game accurate down to like the way the characters look. Like this isn't
awesome.
The Witcher, where they're kind of just changing things willy nilly. They got Andrzej Sapkowski's signature to do whatever, and they took that and ran with it. This is definitely an
Yeah,
adaptation of the game because The Last of Us
that's
is one
cool.
of those like new breeds of games, right? That almost like want to be movies anyway. Like it's one of those games where you
Yes.
stop every couple of minutes, not every couple of minutes, but like there are plentiful things where you're just watching a cutscene. The characters talk to each other as you walk around, and
Yeah.
they put a lot of effort into the characterization, into the voice performances, the motion capture performances, to really make it dramatically impactful in a way that a movie or TV show would be. So this it's not a terribly hard translation. Like it's all there. Like you don't
Yeah.
need to what does Super Mario in a Mario Brothers movie do? Because in the game he just jumps on things and like fights cactuses that are made of like four individual balls with a face on them. Like how do you make that a
Yeah.
drama? Like The Last of Us, there's really no um giant leap from game to screen. The dialogue's there, the characters are there,
Yeah.
the world's there, the world building's there, the history is there. You just take it and run with it. And they have, and it's been very, very effective in a way that's definitely the classiest video game adaptation that I've seen so far.
Ooh.
Classy.
Okay. And so
Prestige.
it's hard. I almost feel like Arcane is a different like branch of video game adaptations because it was
Mhm.
animated. I was gonna ask, you're saying it's one of the classiest you've seen. That's kind of the other one that I think of when I think of like really, really good video game
Mhm.
adaptations. Arcane was excellent. But beyond that, like, yeah, we've had a lot of flops and a lot
Didn't
of
you
weird
like
ones. I mean, that's
Cyber
video.
Run Edge Runner, man?
Yes. Yes, Cyberpunk Edge Runners was excellent. That was an interesting one because the anime studio that made it, Studio Trigger, did it in collaboration with the game producer CD Projekt Red.
Sure.
And they basically it's a prequel about characters who aren't really in the game. And it just kind of adds to the backstory of stuff that's already in the game. Yeah, that show is excellent. But so
Maybe it's a whole
animated
new
video
breed.
game adaptations, they've
Mhm.
had a little more luck, but
So
live
fake
action
ones.
ones, no, Dan, not fake ones, but not real ones. Um, yeah, so that it's I'm so happy that HBO is dipping their toe into this
Yeah.
because HBO doesn't put out half-assed things.
Mhm.
At least that's been their reputation. So for them to take on something like a game like The Last of Us, which does have a reputation for being really cinematic, um, it's cool to see that shift where a studio like HBO is considering doing
Totally.
a story like a PlayStation game. Um, okay,
And
so how did you feel about? Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
no, so I just agree with you that HBO sets trends. Like what they do, the industry tends to follow. So
Yeah,
if like the classy HBO is willing to adapt a video game, it feels like they've arrived in a way it hasn't seemed like that in the
yeah,
past some years. I'm kind of tired of the whole like video game movies are all terrible thing because it really hasn't been true for a while. Like they've been
no,
pretty like even it's not like Detective Pikachu or Sonic is like high art, but they're doing but they're good at what they're doing. Like they're good
they've
at
always
like
been hit and miss.
entertaining the family. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I know the old Mortal Kombat movie has a cult fan base and whatever, but I mean,
That was
is it
literally one of the
good? I
examples
don't
I was.
know.
Well, it depends on what you're watching. It's not
I like it.
cringe-worthily awful. Yeah, I liked it.
Sure.
It's not cringe-worthily bad. Um, yeah, I think hit and miss, but generally they haven't had a great rep. But it's
Of
funny
late,
though
they've been
because it
better.
feels
That's done, but they haven't
yeah,
been prestigious yet. That's true. There hasn't been like
yes,
Emmy nominated act like big name actors winning awards and not embarrassing themselves like The Rock and Doom or Jake Gyllenhaal and Prince of Persia stuff. That would be
Wow,
new.
I forgot
And
about Doom.
that's what we all did. And that's what The Last of Us could do, I think. It's like that next level.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And I loved Craig Mazin's answer about like, how did you make a good video game adaptation? He was like, I just picked one of the best games of all time. And that,
Mhm.
you know, it's like cheating. But it is funny because I almost feel like Hollywood is just, you know, they're starting to take video game adaptations a little more seriously. And it kind of reminds me of how with Game of Thrones success, they started taking fantasy things more seriously.
Super
Like
duper.
now every
Yeah.
studio is like fantasy. I
HBO
wonder
has
if Last
trends.
of Us will do that for games because it's not like video games haven't been telling amazing stories for like The Last of Us is a 10-year-old game. Like
Yeah.
video games have been doing this for a while, but Hollywood just hasn't. They're just starting to really catch on, I think.
It has
And
no
you're right,
choice.
HBO sets trends.
Yeah,
It
does.
doesn't.
It's
I agree.
trends. Video games are bigger than movies. They bring in more money. Like they have no
Yes.
choice but to do it. And I've also always thought, I've said this point a couple of times, that, you know, back in the days, the Super Mario Brothers movie in 90, whatever, when it was like this, you know, abomination starring Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo,
Yeah.
like the folk making
John
it didn't play
Leguizamo.
video games.
Forgot.
They didn't care about video games.
Yes.
But now everyone who grew up playing all that is now working in like of working age, and they're the executives, so they actually do like games. So that's a part of the reason I think we're gonna have a lot more. There's a lot less skepticism now. Oh, Julie, hi
Yeah.
Julie. Oh, thank God.
Hey, Julie. Glad you made
For
it.
a new time, I am going forward for the foreseeable future for 2 o'clock. I hope everybody can join us, but I am sorry that people might have got a little floopled out today. By the way, Jay says that he heard that Amazon is making a God of War show. They are.
Yes.
They're making a Fallout show too.
Yeah.
It's all coming. So like, just get ready, batten down the hatches.
Yeah, I think they're considering Mass Effect too. Amazon is really going whole hog. Netflix wants to do Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh,
I'm real
right,
nervous about that. I'm so nervous about that one because it's like a prequel set during like the Horizon Zero Dawn is a far post-apocalypse, but there's like a near future side to it too.
There'll
like
be plenty of bad ones.
It's the past for the game. There will, and I'm worried. Horizon doesn't deserve to be a bad one. But yeah,
Horizon.
it's going to be the next couple of years. Lots of video game adaptations. But so your
Horizon
final word,
gets us
we
right in the
all should
stick,
run and watch
man.
The Last of Us.
We should. Yes, I heartily endorse The Last of Us. I agree with Claudia. We'll watch any HBO series puts it out there because of trust-driven programming. Yes, I agree. It's true. I will too, and I think that's what they have going for them. And the show is genuinely good. I'm looking forward. I really am. I'm very curious. I think it could be a big hit. Like I think it's good enough.
Yeah.
I think it's buzzy enough. So we'll see what happens, man. Horizon Zero Dawn, that can cracks me up.
Fingers
The first
crossed.
one came out like right before Breath of the Wild, which was way better, and the second one came out right before Elden Ring, which was way better. So it just always gets the short end of the stick, that game.
Yeah, it really does, because the first, like, they're great games, but they're, I feel like it's not even necessarily that like Elden Ring is way better or Breath of the Wild is way better, but well, you haven't played, right? Horizon Forbidden West.
I've watched people play. I think it's close enough.
Okay, that's fair. But you're right that like it has gotten the short end of the stick because those games are great. They definitely deserve more rec than they've gotten because they have come out at the same time as other enormous games that just ate all the air out of the room.
Ate all the
people's excitement. It
but
did.
Yes, The
Breathed
Last
all the
of
air?
Us.
I don't know.
Yeah, sucked it all up. The Last of Us was really fun, really solid. Good performances,
Cool.
Good effects, good story, good pacing, good like confident, able direction. Some theme. We got themes. We got
Ooh, that's always a good sign.
I'm really looking forward to seeing people react because I really liked it. This Sunday night, sometime on HBO Max. We'll see how it goes. Daniel, today you watched the finale of another TV program, Fantasy Willow, on Disney Plus. Daniel, how'd this go? Now that you've seen the entirety of the Willow reboot show, was it worth it?
Oh, totally. I think so. I enjoyed Willow a lot, and I feel like it's kind of funny because in the past year, I lump Willow in with all the 2022 shows because like
Sure.
most of it aired in 2022. It really is like in that same grouping of shows. Um, but it's not trying to chase all those other shows. Like it with a lot of like The Witcher Blood Origin or any number of the other fantasy things we saw last year, it felt like they were trying to capitalize on the fantasy boom. And
Mhm.
maybe Willow is too, but it's just kind of doing
Well,
its own
yeah.
thing. It's a fun show. Um, I think I gave you this example. It's the kind of fantasy show that will do something like put the Beach Boys in the credits. Um, so it uses some modern music, it
Endorsement,
uses some modern
condemnation, you
lingo.
decide.
Exactly. I think Willow is the type of show where it's like if you watch it and you're like this show's awful, that just means it's really not for you. Because
Sure.
Willow is not a bad show. I think it was incredibly consistent and solid all the way through, and like it was just a fun hour of television every week. Way funnier than I expected.
Oh, that's nice. That's always
Lots and
good.
lots. Yeah. Yeah, it was like I would say it had a real strong
Aha.
comedic like backbone.
Bent.
Some of the characters are just cracking jokes all the time. The actors were really good. Again, there were no like bad performances or anything like that.
Always
I do
nice.
think, yeah, it is always nice. It it's a little opaque at times with like the
Ooh,
big
opaque.
overarching threats. Like it doesn't always make why we should be nervous about stuff especially clear.
Hmm.
But that's okay. Like it never bothered me because it's a quest fantasy. So it's like this group of characters going on a quest. And that's the entire season pretty much. So most of it is like just get enjoying their interactions with each other and their specific little character stories and the things they're going through. Um, it's a more teenage show than
No.
I than most of these fantasy shows. It's definitely aimed more for teenagers or
Sure.
like
YA crowd.
families with teens. The YA crowd, there's lots of romance and characters flirting with each other, deciding they're what one of the big turns in the finale is a character is like, "Huh, I don't think I'm that into you anymore." Word for word thing a character says, and it's just like you just have to laugh because it will doesn't take itself too seriously, and that
Sure.
lets you as the audience kind of laugh along with it, as opposed to like I see Julie talking about The Witcher Blood Origin. That's
But we'll
another
get there.
show I found, yeah, rather funny, but the opposite reasons that The Witcher Blood Origin made jokes at its own expense and they felt self-deprecating
Hmm.
because the show was such a mess. But Willow, like it just knew what it was doing. It feels like a classic Lucasfilm thing,
Cool.
but also with Disney influences because there are princes and princesses and people flirting and falling in
Sure.
love and in a
They're owned by
different
Disney.
way than like, yeah, Willow didn't quite have that. It had like a comedic love story with Val Kilmer and Joanne Whalley, who played Princess Sorsha. Uh,
Sure.
but yeah, so Willow, I would say give it if you want a fun fantasy show that you won't need to think too hard about. You won't need to, compare to something like House of the Dragon, and you can eat it like you can watch it like eating chips, like that type of easy viewing. I'd
Are
say
you
give Willow a
hungry?
shot. That I am. I mean, I ate right before this, but that's my
Gotcha.
secret,
You can
Dan.
still be
I'm
hungry.
always hungry.
So you think that Willow was better than Blood Origin, but that there are like
Oh, hands down.
5-page flip books better than Blood Origin?
Yes, also hands down. Yeah, I feel bad ragging on Blood Origin. I know we're going to talk about
Oh,
it
why?
more in a minute. Well, it's like
Why not right now?
kicking something when it's down. Sure, we can talk about Blood Origin too.
Michelle Yeoh's riding
Yeah,
high. She won last night at the Golden Globe. She doesn't mind.
yeah. No, she what a weird year for her. I saw
Yeah, it
your
really
article about her
was.
Star Trek show that it's still in production, and you
Mhm.
pointed out what an odd year because she's in one of the worst fantasy shows of last year, like easily one of the worst, and one of the best indie movies of the year. Um,
Mhm.
what a year of an enigma that Michelle Yeoh.
A year of contrasts.
That's right. But yeah, so Willow, I would say I enjoyed it a lot. I'm looking forward to rewatching it. Just because it's fun, and I'm sure I'll pick up extra stuff watching it a second time. But I will not be watching The Witcher Blood Origin anymore. And
Okay.
I don't know if there's even anyone, in the chat there who wants to know the deets about Blood Origin, but it felt like The Witcher is really off the rails. We talked about adaptations a minute ago with The Last of Us being really faithful, even as it takes creative liberties.
It
Like,
does.
I know that it's expanded,
I don't
like
want
the
to
Bill and Frank story
imply
from the
that
game.
it's the same. There are things it expands, there are details it changes, but
Yeah,
it still colors pretty much within the lines. And the things that it changes, there's one big change. I can't spoil anything. I guess I can, whatever. Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
The Bill and Frank stuff,
No, don't do it.
which is the best
Yeah,
episode
we know.
so far that I've seen. And it's about these two
Yeah.
ancillary characters and their kind of life together. It was fantastic. And that story is there, but it's built up. It changes things, but it always remains faithful to the spirit. I know that's like a death knell to say that, because people say,
No,
like,
that's it.
we're remaining faithful to the spirit of the source material, but really that means like we're gonna upend it, dig it out, hollow it out, put something new in, and turn something we like. This, honestly, I wish I found new words. This really does, when they go slightly off, and they do only go slightly off.
Yeah.
They make sure to bring it back to where the game is coming from. Whereas The Witcher, I take it they're just taking a rusty trowel, disemboweling the heart of the thing, taking out the guts, putting in some styrofoam balls, and then puppeting it on a stage like some kind of grim dance.
That's like the perfect analogy. It's a little frustrating because, like you said, staying true to the spirit of the thing, I feel like that hits the nail on the head. But you're right, it does also get abused where that's said, and then people doing their own thing. But I do think that's the big difference between something like The Last of Us, which sounds like it takes some liberties but is really true to the story, or
Definitely.
The Expanse is another great example. The Expanse is not a one-for-one adaptation of those books
House of the Dragon.
Yeah, House of the Dragon, but there's never a point where it feels like, oh, they didn't get it. They don't. They're making these choices because they don't get the story. And The Witcher feels like that. And Blood Origin feels like that because they basically looked at this period of time where it's ancient Witcher history. Sapkowski only wrote a tiny bit about it, but they didn't really use any of the tiny things he wrote about it. Like, he still wrote enough that they could have explored situations like with the elves. Like, he did lay out how elven civilization had splintered before the conjunction of the spheres, and they basically did a whole different story that had nothing to do with anything he wrote, and it feels like it has nothing to do with anything he wrote, and that's kind of the thing. It doesn't
it's just
feel
gotta
like The
feel
Witcher.
right.
If
it
feels
feels
like a
right,
Dungeons and
fine.
Dragons story.
Which they're also, we'll get in a second. A couple of folk are talking about His Up Materials, both Claudia and Julie, and I want to say that I agree with both of you. I did. I watched the final season and the final episodes that aired when we were on break, and I want to say that I agree with both Claudia and Julie. The finale was really, really good of this fantasy show that's been running for 3 years, adapted 3 books by Philip Pullman. My gripe, and gripes are more fun than compliments, so I'll say that. My gripe is that it literally took them to the very end to get this good. Like, the final episode was great. It finally kind of tapped into the characters more. It's the story is very strange. It's about, Lyra, who's Daphne Keene, who goes on a dimension hopping adventure to basically kill God. What happens in the end, which is a fun idea. Along with Will Perry, who's from our world. Together, they go on an adventure journey, and they meet talking polar bears. They meet Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is miscast. Now that the whole thing's over, bad casting. Did not buy him as a
I agree.
Texan aeronaut. No.
Felt that way the entire time. Yeah.
Entire time. I'm not even sure I really bought James McAvoy as Azrael either, to be honest. He never
Ooh,
quite clicked
okay.
for me. The ones who Ruth Wilson, Mrs. Coulter, she was great all the way
She was
through.
fantastic.
She was the MVP. There's some
Yeah.
casting issues, and the kids were good too, especially. Oh, I also really liked. I think her name is Simone Kirby as the scientist whose name I'm blanking on.
Mary Malone.
Mary
Yeah,
Malone.
she was
She was
great.
quite good. From the end, she had like the kind of um intelligence, but also empathy. They could also kind of see it in her. She came across very natural. And Mrs. Coulter was very like
Yeah.
just kind of bitch on wheels, good stuff too. And the kids were good. And the end, it brought out this tragedy element. You know, the kids fell in love, they had
Mm.
sex and saved the universe, or maybe just made out in the universe. They kind of leave it vague, which is kind of the big climax, no pun intended, of the story. Uh, and they treat it seriously, and it kind of makes sense in the very like wooey sci-fi rules they set up. And I even liked I wanted more of the elephant Mulefa. I understood they really couldn't give us much because they probably have like $8 after nobody watched seasons 1 and 2. But they were fun, and just everything just clicked finally at the end. The bit where they separate from their demons in the land of the dead, that was great and painful. The third season is
Cool.
easily the best. I'll say that. It was also the biggest
Oh,
book, so
nice.
they had the first two were weirdly full of filler because they had to pad out these, I guess,
Really?
relatively short books. Yes.
Oh, you
And
mean
the
the
third
first
they
two
didn't have to.
seasons? Yes, they
Yes.
were.
And this one they didn't have to because it was all there. It was just good. It
Yeah.
was good, and I'm sorry that it took it this long to get this good. Oh, Claudia asks, they don't understand the same reason behind Lamp in the same world as Will. Oh, I'm sure they said it. Isn't it something like I don't know. I know why. Because if you're in another world, you slowly get sick and die, and which is what happened to Will's father, which they didn't underline, and I wish they would have, because in the book they underlined that. It's like okay, and
I mean, I enjoyed the first two seasons. I do agree with you that they didn't quite there was a lot of really good stuff, but a lot of plotting as well. The plotting with
Plotting.
D's in it.
Oh,
It plotted along at times. But I'm really excited to watch the third season. I just think it's fantastic that His Dark Materials now has a full adaptation.
Yes, that is
people
nice.
Can watch. Been waiting for that forever because the Golden Compass movie was meh, profoundly meh, and they cut off the end because they were worried people would be upset, and then they didn't make any more. So I love that the Subtle Knife and the Amber Spyglass have finally gotten what seems like a worthy adaptation, even if it wasn't a perfect one.
Sure.
You're getting me hyped for season 3, saying that it is,
I mean, I don't want to tell you it's like
exciting.
It is the best, but the first two were like kind of whatever. So it's I'll leave it at that. Before we go on to our final segment, I just want to say, because this is What Are We Watching? This is an old stuff, but over the holiday, we watched the first 2 John Wick movies.
Oh yeah, Baba Yaga.
Oh my god, I wish I would have watched these earlier. Those things are amazing.
They're great.
He's killing everybody.
Yeah.
He's doing the flipping in the car doors and the gunplay, shooting everybody in the head like 4 times. Oh, they're so good. I can't wait for the third one. So I just want to endorse that. I just never got around to watching them, but this time we're like, we're like a free day on the Monday after New Year's. Like, we should watch it. One part's always good. And it's like, holy crap! Oh, look at Neo go! It's very, very fun.
Yeah, those movies are great. I have the same reaction. I watched them maybe like a year and a half ago, and at the time I was just like, why didn't I watch these years ago? These are awesome. Yeah, great movies. Glad you enjoyed them. You should definitely watch the third one, and I think John Wick 4 is coming out this year,
like a few months. So watch the third one, and then we can go to the fourth one in the theater. Nice.
Yes.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that because I have been really enjoying those. How about we close out the first Take the Black of the year? Dan needs to watch all the videos of Keanu training, says producer Richard. All right, yeah, why not? I have nothing to do tonight. So let's
Can I just throw
go ahead.
out? Can I throw
Yeah,
out
I guess you
one
can.
other show I started watching? Which,
Hmm.
if there are any people out there who haven't seen it, I started in on The Walking Dead season 11
Oh,
this
fun.
week, which is, yeah, the latest season is now on Netflix. So if you haven't watched it yet because you don't want an
Netflix.
AMC Plus, it's now on Netflix. It's okay. I'm enjoying some parts of it, but it definitely does feel like uh I want to say a far cry from the show's like glory days.
Hmm.
Which might sound harsh, but like I watched all of The Walking Dead in the past 2 years, so it's all pretty fresh in my
Ooh,
mind.
wow.
Um, yeah, I started during the pandemic. The pandemic happened. I
Sure.
was like, if I'm gonna be at home because of a pandemic, I'm gonna watch a plague thing. But yeah, it's worth watching. But it's not as good as I think pre-season 8. So that's where the big shift happened in my mind.
I stopped watching exactly where Camilla did at season 7. It's about where I stopped, and it just didn't grab me. And I think most of us, like a lot of people, agreed with me. That's when it starts to go down, I think, in terms of viewership.
Wait,
And
wait. So did you see Glenn? You didn't see. Did you see what
maybe it
happened to
was the
Glenn
next
then?
one. Yeah, I did.
Okay,
Was that season 8 or 7?
that's the premiere of 7, I think.
Then
7
yeah, I
and 8
watched it.
are the Negan is the big bad in those 2 seasons,
I didn't
and
finish
8
Negan being the big
basically.
bad.
And okay, so probably 7. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, after that, there's still good stuff after that,
I'm
but it
sure.
feels like they're treading water a little bit and trying to find ways to keep the show alive.
These spin-offs are
Which
doomed,
now is
right?
going to be spinoffs.
I mean, AMC talking about how we want The Walking Dead to last, the universe to go on and on and on. There's no way, right? Like they're just fooling
I
themselves,
mean,
right? Like a spin-off here and a
I don't.
spin-off there.
I mean, Fear the Walking Dead has been on longer than most shows, and that's a spinoff.
And
So
it's
I don't want to.
ending.
After 8 seasons, it's not like it got canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, The Walking Dead is like, its whole shtick is it's the never ending zombie story because life just goes on after the zombie apocalypse. Um, but yeah, what I will say about the
Let
start
it
of season
end.
11 is there's a huge focus on Maggie and Negan, and their relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a little
Right.
weird because
Negan
like I've been
relationship.
waiting for that, but now that it's on screen, it feels like they're forcing it a little bit. And knowing there's a
Hmm.
whole spin-off dedicated to Maggie and Negan and how they're going to be getting on after the
Keep
show,
on keeping it on.
I'm not super hype, but
I
yeah,
predict
so that's
death.
what I'm watching.
I think the last
There
one's gonna
there
come
will be
in,
death.
steal that lunch.
I
But
hope so.
we'll follow it this year and Take the Black. What is it? We round out this
Yeah,
episode with a Take the Black lightning round, a patented,
let's
copywritten, signature, trademark. This is all legal. We have all the documents. WiC News Lightning Round.
that sounds great.
You ready?
I say we
All
do it.
right. I
Yeah.
will go ahead and ask you the first thing. Put 20 seconds on the clock. All right, Daniel. Outlander
Yes.
season 7, good news over the break, will premiere this summer.
Yeah, Outlander's coming back this summer. That is really exciting. I still need to catch up on season 6. I haven't seen it all, but
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a supersized season. I think like 16 episodes. They filmed like 13 months on this thing. So
Yeah,
I hope it's good. I hope the
it went
Revolutionary
ham.
War actually starts this season, and it should, because the Independence Declaration of Independence is in it. Um, all right, Dan. Speaking of The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
Fear the Walking Dead will end this year with season 8, which means
Yeah.
it's the perfect time for you to binge all 8 of them. Are you going to do it?
No, I'm not going to do that. I have nothing against it. It's just I wonder if they can keep this going with no like flagship show. Like there's no Fear the Walking Dead. There's like these spinoffs of folk who are on the last show. Is that going to be a whole new thing forever? I don't know. I predict no. So fairly well. Good show Fear the Walking Dead, but you're over now, or you will be this year. All right, Daniel, 20 seconds on the clock. No big surprise here. Well, kind of. House of the Dragon was the most pirated show of the year of our Lord 2022.
Yes, it's carrying that crown for Game of
Carrying that
Thrones because
crown.
Game of Thrones used to be the most pirated show of each year during its run for quite a few years. So, I think that's fine. It's not like HBO's hurting, and I'm sure there's a lot of people watching it in regions that don't have access and what have
Yeah,
you.
100%.
Piracy aside, take it as a compliment, basically.
Okay.
Um, all right, but speaking of things that are not to be taken as a compliment, so Netflix canceled 1899. That was
Yeah, I
fast.
actually watched this show about this like kind of brain twisty from the guy who made Dark thing about people on a ship, but it's all like a weird sci-fi simulation. I'm not gonna miss it that much. It was a fun idea. We're coming to the end of this giant spending spree on ideas that aren't that good in the first place. It was
That's what
fun, it was
Zaslav
interesting,
says.
but RIP 899. You you
Fair.
you can't keep making shows like that and having them be this mid, as the kids say. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel. Oh, here's a fun one.
Oh, yeah.
House of, the
Yeah, so
House
we
of the
talked about this a
Dragon
little.
showrunner Miguel Sapochnik reportedly quit House of the Dragon because HBO didn't let his wife be an executive producer on the second season.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about this a little earlier, but Miguel Sapochnik left. It's kind of funny.
Allegedly.
I mean, it's a weird. Allegedly, this is why he left. We don't know for sure. But his wife, they had conversations, and she helped with ideas in the first season, and he wanted to bring her on more officially. It feels a little weird to me.
A bit Suki. I
Um,
agree. Assuming Suki means like
yeah,
fishy, suspicious.
yes, definitely that.
What does Suki mean?
So I have no. I assumed you knew because you said it.
Oh no, I'm asking the chat.
Oh, I see. So The Flash will be back next month for its final season. Stephen Amell, who played the Green Arrow / Oliver Queen, is gonna be appearing in it.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
pretty cool. I mean, again, it's not something I've really watched, but the DC TV universe has been going on for like over a decade now. The Flash is the last show remaining, basically, and they're gonna bring back Arrow, who began the whole thing. It's cool. I'm glad the fans will have like a big thing to send them off and to gather around and celebrate and get excited about one more time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
we
same.
Done.
They deserve it.
Ooh,
after last
Dookie
year.
means, according to Julie Davies, crybaby-ish. Which, yeah, it kind of feels like that too. Oh, it's just gossip's the best. Okay, here was a thing that took a while to happen, but finally did over the break. Netflix renews Wednesday for season 2.
Yes. We're gonna be getting more misadventures with Wednesday Addams. I think that's great. Wednesday was a really fun show. I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to. It's nice to see Netflix renew a thing. Good on you, Netflix. That one should have been a no-brainer, so I'm glad they did it.
Spooky.
Yeah. Spooky. All right, our final WiC News Lightning Round story of our first 2023 episode at our new time slot of 3 Eastern Time, 2 Central. A live action Dungeons and Dragons series is coming to Paramount Plus. What's the deal with this? Should we be hyped?
Oh, probably not. I mean, Paramount's gonna make a D&D TV show live action. Of course they are, because they're making a D&D movie. I mean, it's time. D&D is very big right now. It got a big resurgence. Why not? Like, why not another fantasy show? Will it be able to stand out among all the other fantasy shows? I'm not sure, but yeah, why not? Go for it. I might check it out. And that is it. Camilla says, nah, probably not. And that is it. That is our first Pick the Black of 2023. As always, we are available on podcast wherever podcasts are available, be it iTunes, Google Play, or elsewhere. And next week, we're going to be back from now until the end of forever in our new time for the foreseeable future. And we'll let you know if anything else changes, of 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 East Time. God knows Australia time. I am sorry, especially to Julie, for people who are
Julie said 8 a.m.
I mean, Julie, if that's too early to wake up, of course we understand. You can always watch us on the canned stuff. But yeah, we hope to see you guys back as much as we can. Spread the word, tell your friends, like and subscribe. All that jazz. So we're back and ready to go on the attack for 2023. See you next week at 2.
Take care, y'all.